probably live on Facebook now.
There was some. Can't remember what they were. There were some movies coming out. In fact, there's one coming out.
I know Spider-Man's coming out sometime soon.
There's Spider-Man.
Which actually looks like it might be okay. It's getting good reviews.
July 21st. I remember saying to my wife, that looks really good. What was it?
War for the Planet of the Apes is getting...
See, I've invested so much in the Planet of the Apes from not only the 60s to now that it's a to-do list. It's not even for enjoyment. I just got to go pay my money. I could just send in money, I guess, to the franchise. And
I did a Planet of the Apes marathon. We're not all in a row.
Right.
But probably like every day I watched one.
Oh, really?
And watched every single Planet of the Apes film up to the last one that they have made.
Right.
Well, I skipped the Mark Wahlberg one because why would you do that?
Yeah. Who directed that? That was directed by... it was Tim Burton, I think.
Was it Tim Burton? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. And I like Tim Burton.
Well, War for the Planet of the Apes, so it got 96%... Rotten Tomato.
Yeah, it's got 79 Metascore on IMDb. Which is
Dunkirk is coming out. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah. And we can always talk about Christopher Nolan because I'm not a war film fan,
right?
But I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. When is Dunkirk coming out? This month, but not for not till the end of
What's that, Dunkirk?
Yeah, Dunkirk is Christopher Nolan,
right?
Who is the best in terms of average rating of any director of all time.
Oh, really?
So, like, his movies, he's never had a movie that's done badly. He's never had a bomb.
Yeah.
And I think he's just one of the greatest, if not the greatest director of all time, actually. I mean, he started his film career... I hear Rhett going, "Don't have the show off the air," but...
I do, too. I got it in the back of my mind. You're saying too much, Richard.
Yeah, okay. Let's.
I'd rather be a frog in a rainstorm.
We'll see if it comes up on the radio. Oh, is something. Hey. Oh, never mind.
Indian River Walk-In Clinic. Your headphones okay? Right now, Miracle Mile. This is Tim Womack, one of the pastors at First Presbyterian Church of Vero Beach. We would welcome you if you're looking for a church home. We have great music, we have a great congregation, lots of wonderful men and women. We are located at The Point, which is at the corner of the Royal Palms and Indian River Boulevard. We're a church large enough to meet your needs, but small enough to need each one of you. Every time I get my car washed, I save $22. How? Suds and Shine. It's right in front of the Minuteman Press on 12th. That's right. It only costs $5. A typical car wash costs, what, $23, $24 to $27. So I save $22 every time I go over on 12th Street and I go to Suds and Shine right in front of Minuteman Press.
Want to new beauty magazine, Castle Connolly, and OMD Kind of Common? They have all consistently named board-certified plastic surgeon Dr. Alan Durkin as one of the best doctors in America. This private beachside medical office and chic med spa cannot be equaled. Ocean Drive Plastic Surgery offers surgical and non-surgical facial rejuvenation, body contouring, cosmetic breast surgery, laser skin resurfacing, hydrotherapy, massages, a steam room, and private overnight suites. There's no place more perfect than Ocean Drive Plastic Surgery. Visit oceandriveplasticsurgery.com to schedule your consultation today.
Mayor of the airways is ready to go. Two people you wanna know. Face to face, one-on-one. Chuck? What's up, Chuck? What's up? Happy 4th of July! This is Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airways. Who loves you, baby?
You forgot to play the disparaging sound effects during my song.
Yeah, cricket, cricket. Dang you, Chuck! You're like a frog in a rainstorm! Chuck, silent night! Mr. B! Mr. B! I want echo! Where is my echo, Mr. B? There we go. Hello. Rhett Palmer is not here. But sitting in for Rhett Palmer is Pastor Richard Demsick, pastor of 923 Community, Ministry of Christ Church. And I'm here with, of course, Chuck.
Yes, that's Monday.
The Cannon.
Yes. I wasn't
Have
here.
you ever gotten the nickname The Cannon?
No, but I did have a customer's little, I guess it was their grandkid that used to call me Cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool name.
Do you ever think about your name? I mean, it's funny because my daughter grew up saying, "Dad, I hate my name." She didn't. Mary Beth is,
Oh, yeah.
And she said,
She's got two to choose from. What'd she get to
and all
about?
kinds of variations because it's short for Marian Elizabeth, so she could go by Marian, Mary, Mary Beth,
Yeah.
Elizabeth, Beth,
Have some
Liz.
creativity.
Yeah. We've told her all this. And but now the only thing that I had an issue with my name, like anybody, is just people that, as you grow up through school, that try to make fun
jokes.
of your, make a joke. And when we named our daughter, to tell you the honest to God's truth, we spent many an hour making sure that her initials didn't spell out a bad name or that you couldn't rhyme it with anything. Because our first choice, believe it or not, was Shannon. Mm-hmm. And we said, well, wait a minute, Shannon Cannon is going to have some sort of a thing.
That's true.
So we spent a lot of time doing that. And then when we finally thought we came up with the perfect name, when she learned to talk, the first thing she said was, I don't like my name.
Child-proofing is such a thing now. Mm-hmm. You even have to basically bully-proof the name.
Exactly, yes.
It starts before birth. It's not just the gates. You got to prepare the child for their life. Of course, you could go the opposite direction with a boy named Sue.
That's probably the least likely to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure that's happened. I'm sure people have done.
I've sat in roll calls in many a classroom, and the teacher either mispronounces or overpronounces a name. As soon as the chuckling starts, the guy's labeled the rest of his life. It never ends.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's sad. But probably as a kid I laughed with everybody else. But it's just a thing. So.
Now my name was Richard. It still is. But you can imagine how middle school was having that name because
I had a kid that constantly would stand up. We had an outdoor when I was in, I think it was 9th grade. Probably the only altercation that I can remember in my life that ended up in some sort of a violent type. It really wasn't a fight, even though it looked like it. Mm-hmm. But he called me every morning I got off the bus. I would go through the school, and he would go, and he was trying to cause people to pay attention to me to try to get them to bully me, not necessarily him. Okay. He would always go, Charlie, Charlie, like that, and I would react, and then people would say, Charlie, and then, Charlie the tuna, and, So I'm on the bus one day, and he's in the back of my bus going home with some of his friends, and he's in the back of the bus doing the Charlie thing, the Charlie thing, the Charlie thing. As he leaves the bus, which was one stop before mine, my foot and my books were out on the walkway, just enough that he tripped.
Oh, nice.
Face planted.
And it was an accident?
It was totally an accident. Fell, broke his nose, which created a huge bloodbath.
Yeah.
And he got up and screamed, "Why did you do that to me, Charlie? I'm sorry that I called you Charlie." He ran off the bus.
Yeah.
And everybody that hated this guy was clapping.
Yeah, you were the hero.
The next day I go,
they all lifted you up and
it wasn't that
hoisting on the shoulder.
It wasn't that celebrated, but when I got back to school,
cannon,
the cannon.
Yeah, he launched him out onto the floor.
But no more Charlie.
Yeah, no more Charlie.
And the guy never spoke to me again, and that was fine with me.
Really?
But it looked like something more happened than it did. It was all an accidental, you know.
I was bullied when I was younger, and I went home and I told my dad. And my dad, big Christian guy. I mean, he was a wrestler. He wasn't actually a wrestling coach at this time, but he was a gym teacher. But he was a big Christian guy, and he was always talking about loving people and, you know, being nice to people. So I was really expecting that when I came home, he was going to say, "You just got to turn the other cheek."
Right.
And instead, he said, "Oh, well, let me teach you how to punch." And he asked me what the bully was like, and he found out he's an overweight guy. And so he basically teaches me to punch him really hard in the stomach.
Okay.
Because he says that'll do the trick.
That'll do it.
So now that I'm all prepared, I've got, you know, he trained me in, you know, a little Rocky montage,
Right, yeah.
you know. And so we're there, and the bully pushes me, and I just punch him really hard in the stomach. And it was really interesting because he dropped down to the ground, and when he stood back up, he had now turned into my friend.
It happens a lot as a kid, yeah.
Instant transformation.
So if you dig deep into that, what did he always want to be your friend and didn't know how to, or was he looking for it? You know, there's all kinds of psychology that goes with bullying and just the whole growing up, just the whole first part. There's so many things that happen, and as an adult, when I watched my daughter go through it, or did, I could pick out things in my life that had happened similar to hers. But I immediately went back in my own mind to that time in my life. So it was hard for me to advise her, you know, because I'm thinking, well, if they're calling you names, it's because, you know, this is what you need to do. Then I'm thinking, well, maybe that's not what you need to do. Maybe you need to approach it in a different way, because did it work for you? I don't know, you know.
It's definitely possible. That guy did not have a lot of friends. So it's definitely possible that he just didn't know how to make friends, know how to communicate, and he always wanted to be my friend. And when I spoke to him in a language he understood, which unfortunately was violence, we probably learned it from the home.
Sure.
It really worked, and all of a sudden he respected me. I don't know. There's something about guys too, though.
True.
They clash and then they let it go.
Yes, that's
and then
exactly
they become
right.
Closer.
Yeah, I watched my daughter grow up where she would be upset and mad at other girls because they wore the same shoe at a day that they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
As a bunch of guys, we didn't get along. We punched each other, then we went out and played after that. You know, I mean, it was no big deal.
Well,
holding grudges is different.
Since we're coming up very soon to the 4th of July, it's a good illustration, I think, for what we did to Britain. We punched them in the gut. They fell down and came back our friend.
As did Japan.
Yeah, it took a few years, but that's kind of what happened with the 4th of July. That we were at first we were in this kind of bullying situation.
Yeah.
The Britain was kind of bullying us, and then we gave them a little gut punch, threw some tea over, and then once they got over it, they were like, "Okay, you guys are cool again. Now they respect us, and now they want stuff from us."
Yes, including just our friendship.
Yeah. What do you do, guys? What do you do for 4th of July?
Probably just like everyone else, we'll have a little cookout. I don't know who will be around. My daughter will come over, my wife and I. We have a friend that comes over usually, and sometimes my mom if she doesn't have anything to do. I mean, it's small. We don't do a whole lot.
But you're the barbecuers, not the firework people.
No, I'm the
That's
barbecuer.
Really one of the two or both.
Right. We're not fireworks people. We have a dog that we'll spend most of the night comforting him.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible.
Like it. Yeah,
it's horrible.
It is horrible.
For me, for someone who has a lot of sound things, 4th of July with the fireworks is not fun.
No.
But I love the 4th of July, and it's great to be here with Independence Day with CJ Cannon.
Yep.
if you want to go to CJ Cannon's.
Well, we're closed tomorrow.
Oh,
we are closed tomorrow. That's right. Yes.
Well, we'll be back more. For more. We'll be back for more, I should have said.
With custom family dentistry and dental implants.
Hey, look at that. We got 20 minutes out of the way.
Yeah, isn't that crazy how that works?
Once you get talking.
Yeah.
We'll be back more.
I know. Yeah, sorry about that. It takes me a little while to wake up.
These messages.
Yeah. We'll be back more. And you'll be here less.
At least you're watching the clock.
Yeah, I'm doing my best.
So
I'm just still
you get
waking
him
up.
point to the clock.
He's watching it.
Yeah, I'm looking over, but the
More
problem
than
is,
me.
he's over here.
With Chuck over there, it's tough, you know.
Yeah.
But that's his seat.
But this is my comfort
Yeah,
zone.
yeah. No,
I
I
would
wouldn't want
probably
to get
be
you out of your
stone
comfort
quiet
zone.
over there.
Yeah, that's right.
You're still not hid from the camera on Facebook, so hey,
Oh,
Chuck, you're on
brother.
Facebook.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, we've got less to look at, though. Just down these seats.
We should have brought a couple balloon faces in or something.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
That would have been good. And we'd have had CJ, or Rhett Palmer on one of them. Oh, that's the one thing I always think about this radio show, is since I'm on, and it's 8 a.m., and it's the day after Sunday when I have to wake up super early.
That's your day, yeah.
I'm, like, always tired for at least the first hour,
Yeah.
and not fully awake.
I get it, yeah. We went to New York last week, and we went to see Hamilton.
Oh,
We
yeah?
got my wife tickets,
Oh, okay.
and that was her big gift, because she loves
I've heard it's good.
It was good, but it amazed me how... It was very good. It amazed me how much Hamilton was like Trump.
Yeah.
At least I took it that way. Now, I hear that he doesn't like the play.
Well, you know what happened with the Hamilton play.
With the
thing.
Mike Pence thing and all that, yeah. But nobody liked him. He was bombastic. He had friends in his administration that nobody else liked. He didn't know. I mean, it went on, and I'm thinking, wow, I wonder if these most Broadway actors are probably pretty liberal.
Yeah.
I wonder if they look at it like this is slamming Trump, or if they're looking at it like, wow, he's just like Alexander Hamilton. You know what I mean? I mean, it really was kind of like that. Even with he womanizer. He was his son got killed in a duel, and just the way he handled his son kind of reminds me of the way Trump is with his kid. You know what I mean? The whole thing was, to me, now when I told my wife that, who isn't a Trump supporter at all, she didn't see it at all like that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny. I wonder if you just interpret what they say differently. Maybe. I guess that's the part of art that you like.
Well, it's also history. So it's, I mean, Hitler was
How it's
convinced,
interpreted, though.
Yeah, like Hitler was convinced that history would remember him as a hero.
Yeah.
Kind of went a different way.
Yeah.
Bush, I think, is being remembered in history a lot better than people looked at him when he was actually president.
True.
I
I
already
agree
see
with that
changing.
100%. Yes.
This is the last spot. Rejoin is next.
What's going to happen with Trump? It's nobody's guess. The game's still too early to tell. Although the media is making everything sound as negative as possible.
Yeah. But that's kind of the way Hamilton was out of office. People thought they were just going to hate this guy, and now he's on a $20 bill, and we were having plays about him,
Yeah. Actually, you are not. So there's no Mayor of the Airways today. He has left the face of the planet. No, he still exists. I'm just sitting in. This is Pastor Richard Emsick, a pastor of 923 Community, Ministry of Christ Church.
Perfect.
Hey,
Perfect
that was
timing.
great. I love that. Yeah. And we've got Sunday services at 11. We'd love to have you if you want to check it out. And I'm here with Chuck Cannon, who has the best prime rib. It used to be bad. There was times where the prime rib was horrible. I'd go in there and I just couldn't even eat the prime
You're
rib.
being funny.
But now it's the best in the whole world. You can't get better prime rib than you can at CJ Cannon's out by the airport.
Well, we went to New York last week, Manhattan, and we went to a graduation. My niece is going to West Point, which was very exciting. I'm hoping we can tour it while she's a student up there.
Yeah.
We spent 4 days in Manhattan, and I will say, after going to all these different restaurants and diners and hotel 5-star restaurants, I loved coming back to CJ Cannon's.
And
I told my staff that. I said, you guys do a better job than any restaurant I went to.
Yeah.
And we ate out breakfast, lunch, dinner, and in between for in all these places that I had heard about that I wanted to go eat. We had good meals. I'm not saying they were bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the guys out at CJ Cannon's and what we do out there is every bit as good as that.
That's awesome.
And we had a great time. And I was telling you off air, we went to see the play Hamilton.
Yeah.
And packed theater, packed. And we watched the storyline unfold and the songs and the acting. And I told my wife, I said, this reminds me almost of watching the story of Donald Trump, to tell you the honest to God's truth.
Really?
It reminded me of the amount of hatred and bitterness and the rumor mongering that was going on about his wife and kids and her kid and his administration, who he brought in his own people that nobody liked.
Were there tweets?
They were tweeting.
Yeah,
they were on Facebook.
The tweets where Alexander Hamilton was laying the smack
Well,
down.
but it was there. Well, they had duels.
Yeah, they did. Well, and that's one of the interesting things about. I'm sure you heard about the CNN
Yes.
tweet that Trump didn't make the tweet, but
Right.
he retweeted it or something, which is, he always gets in trouble with retweeting stuff. But with him laying the smackdown on CNN, and people were like, "Oh, the president's calling for violence," and it is a little funny in historical context of Adam Lincoln.
Very
was a
acceptable
wrestler.
that you would duel.
Yeah.
That you would go shoot somebody over a disagreement.
There's there's a president that dueled on the lawn of the White House, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Was it Lincoln too, or
Lincoln was in a duel, and I think
duel.
that he said that. Now, I might get it mixed up because I looked this up one time. He may have. I don't know. I don't remember the story.
Can you imagine what our media in today's America would? You can't already.
I already can't imagine because I thought about
imagine.
it. I'm reading your
But
mind.
I was gonna say would do with Andrew Jackson.
No.
I mean,
But they used the newspaper as their tool.
yeah.
Whereas we're using now, social media and newspaper.
Yeah.
But back then they used what they used, and there was innuendo and conversation, and there were political speeches where they would say things that weren't exactly true, and it would build into a huge festering pile of rumor. And then they would do something about it. They would duel or they would fight.
Yeah.
And that was the way it was handled back then. And now you zip ahead a couple hundred years, and we're doing kind of the same thing, just in a different manner.
And just with no actual fight.
Well, except for the Trump smackdown.
Well, yeah, except for the video fight, the fake fight.
Now it's funny how that's. Wrestling has been, since I've ever remembered watching wrestling, has been labeled as fake sports.
Yeah.
It's funny how that all came now to where it's the fake sport smacking down of the fake news network, and then everybody's up in arms about it. And I'm like, well, it's all fake, though. That whole thing is fake, isn't it? Just and I remember reading yesterday or today, maybe, about the how unpresidential maybe this is.
Yeah. Sure.
My first impression is yes. My second impression is maybe if we had social media and electronics and technical devices all throughout history, we may not be as shocked as to how presidents and vice presidents and politicians act. I had heard and read things that LBJ had said to his staff that I was thinking, wow, if that went out there, over Facebook or Twitter or whatever, he would be looked at completely different. And this is reading what somebody said that he said.
But we have Nixon as an example.
Nixon's
the recordings.
example, yes.
When they found the recordings of Nixon and how he actually talked, as opposed to how he talked on the mic, it was night and day, and people were shocked. More than, I think, at least this is what I hear from some of the people that were Nixonites back in the day, they were more shocked by his language than they were by the actual allegations of what he did.
Right.
And it's one of two things. You either want a president that you can respect and admire from a distance, or you want a transparent president that you can actually know what he's really like behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I'm not a big Trump fan, but I do like that he's transparent, and I like the fact that I kind of know what Trump thinks about things because he tweets it at 3 a.m.
Well, I think that people want to, like you said, I think that people want the respectable image of the President of the United States. I do.
Yeah.
However, the bottom line is they are still a human being.
Absolutely.
And they do say things that some of them aren't orators, like Barack Obama was a great orator.
He's a great orator. Yeah, absolutely.
Clinton was an orator in his own thing. He was a Southern, hey guys, type, but I could listen to him for a long time.
Yeah.
George Bush W. was a great orator.
I was confused when you said great orator, and then you started saying
no,
George
I'm saying
Bush.
there's the opposite. Now, there's somebody that was, yeah. So, as far as public speaking, maybe they're not all what we want them to be.
Yeah.
But are they all human beings? Yeah. Do they speak like human beings? Yeah. Did they get where they were because they were nice, calm, social men? No, they got where they were because they knew how to fight and claw their way ahead.
Yeah.
Like most CEOs or presidents of corporations or the United States, they were able to tough it out and be tough guys and get there. If they were just nice, Mr. Smith goes to Washington, you would never hear from them.
Well, I don't know. I will say Mr. Smith made a difference in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington because he fought tooth and nail. He just fought as an idealist.
Right.
And I would love that. I mean,
right.
That would be great.
Right. But it'll never happen.
It'll probably never happen. I mean, I don't know how you'd survive the process to get elected president.
And as our society continues to advance, I think it's less and less likely to happen. Just too much money, too much power. And that doesn't add up to being a nice guy and the people's representative, I think.
Well, we'll talk about it more in a little bit.
The phone call was from Rhett, and he said, Chuck, call him. What had happened is he's listening on iHeartRadio, and I found this out when I was in Connecticut, when I was listening to the shows here to make sure that segments were being played okay. And I can dial into the log, so I was watching the log, and you guys, the phone call came when it says, when are they coming? When do they come back? And I said, they're already back. iHeartRadio is about a 2-minute delay.
Sure.
So he wanted to talk to you about the Hamilton play in New York City. So call him now during the break, he said.
Why can't he be just relaxing on a beach?
He's going to be on his way to Vermont soon. You don't want to go to the beach in Maine?
Well, you know what I mean. Why ain't he in a lighthouse or something?
Give him a call.
We love Rhett. He's probably watching us right now.
Yes.
He's a great guy. I so enjoy his character. John Pierre was talking about how he misses Rhett being at church. And I was like, why? Is it because you don't have anyone yelling out Silent Night?
Yeah, a heckler.
Yeah, it's good to have a church heckler.
He is the free bird of church.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We've got a few, but Rhett is probably the captain of the crew.
Who was the person that yelled out Freebird? There is an actual person, and a friend of mine is a Leonard Skinner huge fan.
Yeah.
And was telling me the whole story about this guy and how he would travel, kind of like the Dead fans, where he would travel Leonard Skinner, and he yelled that out one time. Then at every concert, he started yelling out. Now everybody, when there's a lull on a stage, everybody yells out Freebird, you know.
Freebird, that's cool.
And the guy became kind of a, what do you call it, a urban legend hero.
Urban legend,
but there is really a guy who did that.
Rhett, Freebird Rhett. Yeah. Now you better call him.
Does he want me to call him now, or?
Oh, I don't know. Mr. B? Oh. Mr. B! Does Rhett want him to call him now?
Yeah, during the news.
Yeah.
They're almost over.
I'll do it next break then.
I think he's going to do it in the next break.
Okay, he's gonna call me and say, "Where's Chuck?"
I let the break slip by.
I need more echo!
Does he want it on the air, do you mean? I wonder. Or?
I don't know.
I want someone I can trust to repair my vehicle. I trust Don's Auto Service. Free pickup and delivery. Plus they have loaner vehicles while yours is being serviced. I especially like their comfortable waiting area and free coffee. Don's Import Auto Service and Sales is an official Michelin dealer. Don's also offers a 24-month guarantee on their service and repairs. Don's Import Auto Service is on 43rd and Vero. Call 569-4714. Again, 569-4714.
Here's Joel Molinari from Molinari Pool Service with an urgent message for you this month. Just make sure that your pool is protected. You've got anti-entrapment devices and you need fencing, netting, any sort of safety product around your pool. Give us a call at 778-2633 Molinari Pools. We want to help you out here. Please be safe around the pool, especially this time of year. Let your friends know. Be safe around the pool. Always adult supervision. Nothing replaces adult supervision, but put the safety products in place. Okay. Molinari Pool Service, again, that phone number is 778-2633. It's 2:30 in the morning. Someone is trying to break in, but your security system from Complete Electric and Alarm is working. Your home's on lockdown. Security cameras are rolling. This is the last spot. The Open is next, then the Life of Chuck.
What did he say?
I think he said open and then Life of Chuck. It's ready to go. The American life of Chuck. It's the American life of Chuck. What's up, Chuck? What's up, Chuck? What's up, Chuck? It's the American life of Chuck. War Round 2. What's up, Chuck? We're here on 4th of July. This is Pastor... Well, it's actually not the 4th. Well, it might be tomorrow. It plays again, right?
4th of July Eve.
4th of July Eve. Yeah, or 4th of July. Either way, we're celebrating the 4th of July already. The fireworks have been going off for 3 days. Dogs have been yelping.
Yes.
Old ladies have been scared in their beds.
Yes.
And we are officially in the South.
Yes, we are.
Now, where have you been from in your upbringing most of your life?
Florida, most of my life.
Most of your life,
but I was
Florida?
born in Delaware.
Have you noticed that fireworks are the way to celebrate pretty much every holiday in the South?
Yes, and we spent a little over 2 years in Hawaii when I was in 8th and 9th grade. Because of the amount of Orientals over there, fireworks are huge.
Oh, okay.
Huge. You didn't
Interesting.
blow off a firecracker, you blew off a case of firecrackers at one time. I remember we had to go clean our street up after the 4th of July one year, or New Year's, whatever it was. Garbage cans full of paper. It was unbelievable the amount of fireworks that go off over there.
The Chinese New Year, they do go crazy. Yeah. And where I was from in Michigan, there was 2 days a year that you used fireworks. It was on the 4th of July and New Year's Eve.
Right.
And that was it. That was it. Now, I moved down to Vero Beach, and all of a sudden, I hear fireworks go off at every holiday imaginable. Halloween, there are fireworks. Christmas, there are fireworks. Groundhog Day, there are fireworks.
Yeah.
What is that? I guess they just really like explosions,
Yeah.
blowing stuff
And I've
up.
never been one to be a fireworks fan. Even as a kid, I would light them off with my friends, but when it was over, it was over. I didn't really care. I lived next to a neighbor that was exactly like what you were explaining, where any reason to blow off fireworks he had. Any reason.
I got to tell you a great fireworks story.
All right.
Okay, or am I interrupting your fireworks story?
Nope, I'm done.
So we're here with my brothers, and I've got two brothers. One is a physics teacher at Vero Beach High School.
Right.
And the other one is an English teacher at Vero Beach High School. They're both teachers at Vero Beach High School. But the one who's an English teacher, he's our worship leader at the church.
Okay.
And he is this very passion-driven guy. And he always wants to make things epic. And let's take it to 11. And let's,
Right.
make this bigger. And so we got these fireworks. And we're there. And we've got some girls there that are just wanting a nice, quiet evening. But we have got some fireworks, so we're going to launch them out. But John Peter's like, we got to take this up to 11. We got to take this up to 11. And so he decides, let's fire the fireworks from the rooftop. Okay, so Robert and him go up on the rooftop. Now, the girls are already scared, and it's a slanted roof. So they're going to be firing it off at an angle, and the girls are like, this isn't safe. And we negotiate with them, and we get them to come outside and everything. By Robert pointing out that he literally studied rocket science when he was younger, and he knew what he was doing. So this is going to be fine.
Okay.
So all of a sudden he lights the firework. Boom! An explosion goes off, and fireworks start shooting at the girls. Like, right at the girls. They have to jump out of the way to avoid the fireworks. Because Robert, rocket science physics teacher Robert Demsick, loaded the fireworks upside down.
Oh. Bro.
So it was on the roof and pointed down and shot at them.
So mathematically it worked out. It just didn't, common sense wise, it didn't work out.
It worked for entertainment's sake.
Yeah,
It was
right,
a lot of fun. I think there's probably a lot of people that get injured.
Well, my
on
night,
the 4th of July.
4th of July, New Year's Eve, we usually have my house has the radio turned way up and the TV turned way up. And
Yeah.
the doors closed, and then we try to sit with my dog and act like nothing's happening. But for some reason, he can sleep through a burglary or somebody at the door, but if he hears the faintest firework, he's a nervous wreck.
Right
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
My cat is similar, that she does not love this weekend.
Yeah. So I'm really just anxious to get the night over with, the firework night, tomorrow night.
Well, we sound like two old men, but
Yes.
it is true that
Yeah,
we are
we
both
do.
very sound sensitive, and I think that's part of it too. For me, people will invite me to a fireworks show that there's a big crowd at, and it's kind of the worst nightmare for me because it's loud flashing noises, and I have migraines, so that doesn't help.
Right.
And the noise, and then there's all this crowd of people, and despite what you might guess, I'm actually a little bit of an introvert, so being around huge crowds of people is not actually fun for me. So I don't love that part, but the barbecue, I'm on board.
Yeah,
That's fun.
sure.
Have
Yeah.
some family over.
It's over with around 8 o'clock, and then you're in bed by 8:30, or am I too old? Is that going to...
I think we're actually doing the barbecue. I don't know when. I think we're doing it in the afternoon though, so it'll probably be similar, especially because I woke up early this morning and early yesterday morning. And that's too early for me. So
Are you a barbecuer, or do you just get it cooked, or are you one of those all-day marination?
Yeah, I'm not really even one of the guys that feels like the man has to do the fire cooking with the pit. I'm as long as I get to eat the meat.
Right.
So if there's usually somebody at the party that really wants to be in control of the meat, and I just let them have it.
I've been to barbecues where there's the barbecuer that has been working all day on this. And I'm completely the opposite.
Yeah, you just
get
slap
the
it
grill
on.
real hot, cook them, get them off, eat, and you're done.
Yeah, that's the fun part is the eating for me.
Oh yeah.
Not the preparing.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's just get.
And I'm also one of these people that I enjoy the sides of a barbecue more than the actual barbecue meat. I like the coleslaw and the baked beans and the potato salad.
Yeah.
Then I can eat a small hot dog or a small burger, but that's about it. But I like the sides better.
It's
Is
a
that
nice,
weird? That's kind
it's
of
a nice small capitulation to the Southern community here, where they were like, we're not about blowing stuff up like you guys,
right.
but we do like your food.
Yeah, we sure do.
We can eat together, and we can get along.
Yes.
And
food is the soother of all people, actually.
That's right.
Yeah.
What
All ethnic groups, when it comes down to,
they all eat.
They all eat, and they all enjoy eating.
Yeah. And what is more American than people from different cultures getting together and eating a lot of food together? That's America.
That is America.
Whether
Americana, yeah.
Whether it's 4th of July or Thanksgiving or
Yep.
or just Tuesday.
Yeah,
just any Tuesday. We can get together, we can eat together. And you can eat at CJ Cannon's restaurant by the airport, where the only thing they overlook is the
runway.
Runway.
Yeah.
I was gonna say airway.
Yeah.
It's what is it with they park on the driveway and they drive on the parkway?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it
that
be
was a George Carlin thing,
George
I think,
Carlin,
or something. Yeah.
Shouldn't it be airway? Not
runway. Yeah.
You're not running on it.
You're not running on it. Yeah, I don't know. I never thought that out.
I mean, the planes run on it.
Right. Yeah.
And anyway.
We park on a driveway.
That's right.
We drive on a parkway.
Yeah.
And then we'll sit by the runway, which actually doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. You never run. I've never seen anyone run on a runway.
No.
Except for in movies.
Yeah.
And it's like Die Hard and you're chasing the plane. And they always catch the plane, which to me is quite incredible because those planes go fast. I don't know if you knew this.
Yes, they do.
They go pretty fast to be able to equal those speeds. Well, today's a good day to talk about America and what makes America great again.
What makes
What
America
does
great
make
to me
America
is
great?
that you can wake up every single morning and start over if you have to. You don't you're not destined to failure here.
Yeah.
You can wake up and start a new job, you can start your new life, you can start anything.
The land of opportunity.
It is the land of opportunity. And I think that when people don't have that opportunity, they appreciate it more.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that are pessimistic about America or don't have anything good to say about it, I think all it would take would be a month somewhere else, and they would come back eagerly to America and say, wow, we don't know what we have. I firmly believe that.
Well, on Sunday morning, I was talking in my message about America and what I think makes America great. And I was talking about how what the American dream truly is, not just for an individual, but for a country, is something that is much harder than most countries. Because diversity, while I do think is a virtue, it is more difficult to try to have everyone have opportunities for success in the manner and the culture that they come from and is relevant to them. I mean, that melting pot idea, which is why we can't, in my mind, do some of the programs that Sweden, Denmark, and so many other countries that don't have these diversity rates can do.
Right.
And they're all very like-minded. And like you said, I mean, there's two ways to look at opportunity. You could look at it like opportunity, meaning we give everyone the same help up, or opportunity, meaning freedom, and you can make your life whatever you choose to make it, but if you decide to make your life...
and you can also fail and turn around tomorrow morning and get up and reinvent yourself, reemerge.
Exactly.
We don't throw people in jail for being in debt or for failing. We don't punish people for...
Unless it's the government.
Unless it's the government, okay.
That's the one. That's the one way we throw people in jail.
We can completely fall flat on our face and get up tomorrow and somehow make it back and be given a second and a third and a fourth opportunity. We talk about, as funny as it sounds, Colonel Sanders didn't become famous for Kentucky Fried Chicken and wealthy until he was in his 70s. Yeah. You know, the man failed and had bankruptcy. We look at Donald Trump and talk when he was running for president, saying how many times he had filed bankruptcy, and I'm thinking, I'm looking at that as, well, that shows determination that a guy had failed and was able in your own country with your own laws to be able to get back up and do it all over again. Would we be more accepting of it if he failed and then just stayed down and couldn't get back up?
Yeah, and I don't want to be the critic who says how the doer could have done their deeds better, but I wish he kind of phrased it in that way. I wish he said, yeah, there's some business things that we tried that didn't work. That's what America is about. And as your president, I will try things and some of them won't work. And I'll fix those things and I'll keep trying because we'll make it better.
And I guess it depends on how you look at the glass, but I looked at that type of story more encouraging than discouraging, that he can fail and still be a multi-billionaire president of the United States. I mean, like him or not, I mean, it's a success story.
And that, to me, is what America's all about, is failing but trying again. This is Pastor Richard Demsick and Chuck Cannon. Happy to talk to you.
Hey folks, you have heard me talk about
Is this a long break?
a great deal I got down.
What are we at for a break?
I want to tell you something. 1, 2, 3. Got about 4 minutes to the rejoin.
That's long enough.
Make sure Chuck calls Rhett.
We're doing it right now.
He's doing it.
All the miles you want, you're covered. And right now,
I'm so used to being around people that
I'll let you
sign.
know when your last spot is there, and then you can put your headphones on.
Okay.
fantastic selection of used Mercedes-Benz, including factory-certified pre-owned Mercedes with the unlimited miles warranty.
What a voice, man.
On sale now at Mercedes-Benz of Fort Pierce. Don't miss this sale.
Maybe he took a nap.
Your Indian River County Habitat for Humanity Restore is always a hub of activity, especially with their
It actually did go to voicemail.
But it
Wow.
takes teamwork to bring in new donations, to stock the warehouse, prepare them for sale, place them in their respective departments, and then keep customers coming back with friendly service on the sales floor.
What we recycle, we clean up everything.
This is Chuck, Rhett. This is just a evidence that I did call you back, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
You know, I would have thought that if you wanted to be on the air, you would have called. I mean, you could have just had him plug it in.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to talk about the show.
Probably.
My wife loves plays and the arts. I like them, but I don't appreciate them much. Like, to me, I could sit at the Super Bowl and be as excited as she was going to the play. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just different. Not that anyone's better than the other. Well, the play was definitely better. Right? As far as appreciation goes, I guess.
I could enjoy sports at the game with some kind of that group dynamic of excitement, you know, if you pick a side, but
yeah, just to go sit in a chair and sweat and watch a game, there's really, it's hard to defend wanting to do that.
You know, the game that has been the most fun for me to watch in person, I never watch it at all on the TV, is hockey.
Yeah.
But when you actually go to a game, it's really fun.
Yeah, there
to
is
watch.
a different dynamic live with something like that.
Yeah.
And where you sit.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes if I'm going to do it, I try to save up enough to do it the way I want to do it, not sit way, in the back and squint and see the little men running around.
Yeah.
I got invited this year to 2 football games, and they're all excited to take me, so I'm going to go. And it's not that I'm not excited to go, but they're games that I would rather sit on my sofa while my wife cooks dinner and I watch on my TV. You know what I mean? I mean, the whole comfort level is at home.
Yeah.
This is a drive, sweat, crowds, not being able to see, so I'm excited to go with these people and have a good time, but I'm not excited to watch the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel. I like baseball. I'm not into baseball at all. So I was invited, and I had a great time because there's like a picnic.
Right.
That you're just hanging out with your friends, and there happens to be something going on.
Right, yeah.
But it's really in the backdrop.
Right.
I mean, our conversation wasn't really even about the game, although it
We went
mentioned
to the Tampa Bay Raider game last year. Another time somebody invited me, and the guys, 2 of the guys that were there were friends of my guest, or the guy that invited me. They tailgated, which was real innocent tailgating for us. I mean, we just kind of hung out and cooked some hot dogs and stuff. When it was done, they left.
Your rejoin is next.
They didn't even go to the game. They just went to the tailgate and then they left.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Actually, you are not. But you are listening to Pastor of the Skyways.
Wow.
Yeah. I was actually given that name. Hey! That wasn't even my invention. You just made fun of someone else, although I did repeat it. But yeah, a guy from our church, he had Rhett came over to the Goodwill to help with the adult daycare program that they have there.
Okay.
And he did some songs. He did great. It was amazing.
Yeah.
He was really in his element.
Do you, well, you're talented. You and your wife can sing and play instruments. And all
My
that.
wife is
I
talented.
envy the fact that people can just become the entertainment.
Yeah.
I wish that I had continued my music lessons or had done something that would create entertainment for people like that, you know, where I could sit down and play a piano or sing a song. Or I mean, I'm fascinated that Rhett can come in and have dinner and go out when Debbie's playing in the lobby and pick up the guitar and just join in and be part of the entertainment.
Yeah.
We have people that do that on Friday night. They'll bring in their saxophone or their fiddle, and Debbie's playing, and then she'll invite them up, and they're just next thing you know, we have a band playing.
Yeah.
You know,
that is cool.
and it's very cool. I really envy that I can't do any of that.
I never got great at instruments enough that I could really do that. I could do some performances myself that were decent, but just joining in is a kind of skill set that I didn't have.
Right.
But I did have that with dancing.
Okay.
So I could dance and all of a sudden
Right.
be the entertainment.
Right.
And it is fun, and it is amazing how many doors get open to
I'll
you
bet.
just because you have that
Right.
ability.
Right.
And friendships that get open to you. I mean, I've had a lot of friends that I wouldn't have had if I didn't know how to
Sure.
dance.
Right.
And it's funny to me because it's like who cares? But all of a sudden
Well,
it becomes a point of contact.
And when you're doing something that most people can't do,
Yeah.
it isn't a who cares. It's a wow, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, I
You know,
guess
on the
so.
other side,
Yeah, I guess so.
I watch people all the time do things, and I'm like, wow, I wish I could just I wish I could play just one song.
Yeah.
That's it. If I could just sit down, and even if it wasn't playing it well,
Sure.
it was just getting through it, that people kind of like, oh, I know what he's trying to do, and it's all right. You know,
Yeah.
that would even be all right.
Well, that's actually kind of more what I do because I usually see something and I think that's really awesome. I want to learn how to do that a little bit. And so I'll study it, I'll figure it out enough that I understand it a little bit, and then I move on to the next thing.
Now, see, I can get up with a guitar and with my thumb play the first couple notes of Smoke on the Water, but nobody cares. Everybody knows how to do
It's something. It's something.
Just one string in my thumb. It's not
Yeah.
even in key or anything. It's just it's the thickest
You're
string.
making it sound as pathetic as
It is
possible.
pathetic.
Yeah. Well, you know, what matters is that you play.
I guess.
You get a participation award.
I get a
Participation? I think I added a couple syllables into
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Yeah.
I got it.
Now that's the way to do things.
Yeah.
That's the new America.
True.
Is we all have the participation award.
Well, I guess, and then you have to go one step further and say, I guess if you can get up in front of people in general,
Yeah.
how, sorry about that, how you get up on Sunday in front of a group of people is a talent that most people probably don't have.
Yeah.
I won't even say a lot, but I think most people are terrified of that.
When it's listed in the list of top fears,
Mm-hmm.
it actually is listed often as number one with death below it.
Really?
So there's a lot of people that are more afraid, or basically prefer to die than the public speak.
Amazing. And what is the fear? The fear is just failure, right? Or the fear is of not being accepted? Is that, I mean, if you break it down, what is the fear of public speaking, of looking out in the audience and seeing complete disgust or seeing...
I have to think it's embarrassment, which is probably why I
Embarrassment,
never
yep.
had it. I never had it at all. I mean, I get like nervously excited when I was about to public speak, but most of my life I've learned the hard way and been really bad at first, and then put a lot of hard work in it and got good. When it comes to public speaking, that was one of the maybe 3 things in my life that I was actually pretty good at from day one, and I wasn't really nervous, and I was like, yeah, this is fun. It was much more nerve-wracking for me to have a conversation, especially in a group, where there's this dynamic of this social thing where you have to know how to respond to people, and they're asking you questions, which it's ironic
Right.
that now my messages on Sunday, I actually have a lot of participation. I keep doing participation. Now that I did it once, participation. I do know how to say that word. But now that I have become comfortable with public speaking enough, I actually will have people ask questions and say things. And I've had some pastors who've come and been nervous for me. Just
Okay.
with that, I do it that way because they'd have a.
And do you find
panic
that
attack
the first 10 or 15 seconds are the roughest? Once you get going, do you kind of block everything out and start?
Yeah.
Because whenever I've done any kind of public speaking, I'm nervous until I get the first dozen words out, and then the next thing you know, I don't even know if I realize I don't know that I even look at the audience, even though I'm looking at them. I don't know that I see them. I just start talking, and then it becomes just an automatic pilot.
That's a little different for me because I do really watch the congregation in my case, and I see what their expressions say, and I try to adjust what I'm saying depending. So if, for instance,
I can't do that.
If they're looking confused, I realize that a point wasn't made well,
Right.
and I will try to make it a different way for them to understand. But what's really hard is there's some people that have resting, let's say, angry face or resting beautiful person face,
Right.
and they'll have this look on their face like they are really angry, and it's hard to know. And then I once had this guy who was just staring at me the whole time like he was going to see me in the parking lot, and I was wondering, what did I say?
When you're done with your speech, I'm going to beat you up.
That's exactly what I thought. And then I walked up to him afterwards, and he's like, "That was great."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why didn't you tell your face that?
Yeah.
But, then there'll be people that will close their eyes the entire message, which I usually can get them to open their eyes because I have enough visually things going on. Like, I do sermon props. I have, in fact, this recent one, we had a thing of water that it looked like tea or blood or wine. And it was in this jug, and I poured water in it, and it just got a little bit lighter, but you could still, and then I poured another glass of water in it, and it went completely clear. And it was a sermon illustration for, like, when we pour into someone with God's love. And people were in awe, and so there's a lot of visual that people kind of keep their eyes open, hopefully, during the messages.
And being a good audience is just as important as being a good speaker, as
I agree.
that one guy said.
All right, well, we'll talk more. You're here with CJ Cannon.
Clear.
CJ Cannon. It's not actually your name, but,
They'll get it.
Yeah.
I remember I took public speaking in school, which was a terrifying class, because not only are you in front of a crowd, but you're in front of your other students, your peers,
Yeah.
And they would make you pick a topic on your way up to the stage, and then that's what you had to speak about for 10 minutes.
So did you talk to him?
No, I got his voicemail.
Isn't that funny?
Huh?
Yeah. It was like, you gotta go.
Well,
no,
he wanted to talk to you about that play,
Hamilton. Yeah.
Hamilton.
Right.
He said he didn't like it because they mocked the vice president or
Yeah.
something. He made a comment, so I don't know.
Yeah, Mike Pence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they actually they mocked Trump when Mike Pence was there and kind of actually talked to Mike Pence. And then,
Yeah, when Mike Pence was leaving, I think the guy who played Aaron Burr said, "I hope you use your office to do." I mean, it was. I think the problem with it was using their stage to engage with the Vice President of the United States more. I don't think what he said was really as bad as the fact that he called him out, kind of like while he was on stage. I think that was the worst part of it. It wasn't really what he said, because I think what he said was more like, it was about diversity, and I think it was something to the effect like, "I hope you use your office to."
Was this live in New York?
Yeah, it was live.
Oh, yeah.
You were there?
No,
Well,
it was a while ago.
I was
During
at
the
the live
election.
performance, but the one where he called Mike Pence
okay.
out was one of the first couple days it was open.
Oh, okay. So how many plays did you see in New York?
Just that one.
Just the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got to catch up. That's a slow rider.
But boy, those playhouses up there are from the 20s.
Hello, this is Paul. Hello.
Yeah. What were we talking about? We were talking about public speaking. Yeah, I did. This is how much of a freak I was.
Yes, hello. Oh. We hear enough of that song. You don't have to sing it. What's going on? Good. I called you. I got your voicemail, though. We liked it. It was very good. It was very entertaining. Yeah, it was very good. No, I said it was very entertaining. The music was good. It was a good show. I'm not as big on plays and Broadway and all that as my wife is, so she really enjoyed it. But it was I enjoyed it too for not being a big follower. She knew that she had already bought the soundtrack. She knew all the songs. She was very much into it. If I was up there with somebody else, I probably wouldn't have gone, you know. But I knew my wife would really enjoy it. Yeah. Right. Well, I thought about it, but you know, I was just telling Richard and Mr. B that I don't know that what they said was as controversial as just the fact that they called him out while they were live. You know, that's the part I didn't agree with. I think that what they said to him was more about hoping he used his office to create more diversity, understanding, and all that. You know, I mean, really wasn't insulting, but it was not the right platform, in my opinion. I don't know. But, you know, something, I still watch football after the Colin Kaepernick thing, and I still, you know, I mean, I can't take a stand on everything or I'd just lock myself in the house. I mean, how much of a stand can you take over everything? I quit drinking Pepsi because they told me if I would voted for Trump, I wasn't their kind of customer, and I love Pepsi. Yeah. There's only like 7 companies that make all the food products that we eat in the United States. If one of them, you know, if Procter and Gamble this says something I don't like, then I boycott them. Then I'm losing half my diet. Yeah, yeah.
Today's broadcast is brought
Uh-huh.
by Dr. Rich Steinfeld, orthopedic surgeon who I would recommend to
Okay.
my family and friends. Exceptionally gifted and has a passion for what he does. Dr. Rich Steinfeld, orthopedic surgeon.
Oh, really? Good for you. Did you get a plaque for that? Did you? Oh, cool. Oh, that's cool. Of all things that you're good at, throwing an axe.
But a $20 savings adds up fast. Suns and shine, $5 every day.
Yeah.
And ladies, don't forget,
Right.
today's Ladies' Day, additional $10 off.
Yeah, right. Wow. Wow. Good for you. All right, we're getting ready to go back on. I'll talk to you later. Okay. See you later. Bye.
Sounded like you just wanted to chat.
Yeah. He won champion axe thrower at some con.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
he got a plaque.
awesome. That's so cool.
Of all things. You know
Oh
what?
man, I hope he's got a video of it.
Oh, I didn't ask him that.
Yeah.
He said he did get a certificate, though, a champion.
Oh yeah.
He hit
I'd
the
like to
bullseye in the first throw, he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, you can get them done by some Dick, Harry, or Joe.
That would be fun to do.
But I tell you what,
Yeah, it would be fun.
professionals to get it done.
My wife and I have actually done some throwing, but not axes. We did some knife throwing.
Really?
962
Yeah, it's really fun.
could mean
Did some archery.
life and death.
You know, it's from pistol shooting to archery to knife throwing. It like gets progressively difficult.
Right.
But the reward when you actually make it stick and get the target goes up.
Yeah, I'll bet.
This is
It's
the last
so
one.
fun when you shoot and it just goes right
This
in.
is the last spot.
Okay.
I like
Thanks,
archery.
Mr. B.
I shot a lot of bow and arrow when I was growing up.
Oh yeah, it's really fun.
And shooting I enjoy. But again, it's you pull the trigger and that's it. I mean, but yeah, throwing a
Archery's
knife in archery is more personal, I
Yeah.
guess is how you would describe it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've never thrown knives.
It's fun.
Is it more of a balanced knife, right? It's a different kind of a knife, isn't it?
Yeah, you can throw any knife, but usually people use. If you have a knife that is equal on both sides, that's better. And the bigger it is, the better too. Especially to learn on, because people think, oh, it's going to be safer with smaller knives. Now, smaller knives bounce. It's not as safe. Start with bigger knives. It's fun. The American Life of Chuck.
You're going to have the pledge of allegiance after this.
Okay.
Okay? And then you take it.
That's right, America, because this is not the Canadian life of Chuck. This is the American life of Chuck. We're in America, people.
That's right.
That's right, and it's the 4th of July
time,
and the time to celebrate our Independence Day.
Have you ever seen the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great Independence Day movie to watch.
It is. It's great to watch two Aussies showing what America's all
yeah.
about.
We couldn't have found an American to be, or an American born.
Yeah, it's kind of an amalgam. Is that the right term?
Yeah.
It's close anyway, but it's like a bunch of different characters in actual American history melded into one to form the super patriot.
Yeah, but I love it.
But it's great. Yeah, it's the.
I love the scene when we're retreating at the end.
Yeah.
They're beating us down.
Yeah.
And Mel Gibson's yelling out retreat. We're getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
He yells retreat. And as he's running away with everybody else, he sees a guy running the opposite way with the American flag flying in the air, and
That's awesome.
He says, "Turn around and fight," and they turn around, and then we win. I got goosebumps telling you this story.
I do too.
I love it. I love that scene. If I could isolate that scene, I would watch it over and over. It's the turning point in the movie.
Yeah.
Of when we did it, and that is why I think we as Americans are so different than the rest of the world. We are farmers and merchants and tradesmen and crop workers that fought for our own land and our own rights.
Yeah.
And beat the big guy down and created an independent nation.
Yeah.
That is what we are now, a short 200 plus years later.
It's amazing.
We are the powerhouse, and when things go wrong, regardless of how divided we think we are with politics, with sports, when things go wrong, we all of a sudden become American. This is what I wish we could stay. Is that we become Americans all of a sudden, and we are brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
If we could keep that mentality, who knows how far we could go. Unfortunately, we have divisions, but then again, the divisions are what make us strong in a way too, because we see other people's point of views, even though sounds like it gets nasty. I've gotten in some great debates with people and walked away as a loser and or a winner of the debate, and thought about it, and the next thing you know, we're discussing a whole nother building block to that discussion, a whole other thing, because I think in reality, even division in politics and in attitudes and in ideas builds a stronger base.
It's what happened. I mean, in history, these guys got together over beers, talked about what they could do to make a country a different kind of country.
And do you not think there was some arguments going on at that table?
Absolutely. I guarantee it. They were combining Christianity and biblical truth. They were combining philosophy, and they were combining political thought of that day and coming up with this new form of government. And it's such, I think we've lived it and we've been born into it, so we kind of lose the magic of it. But just think about that these guys getting together in this room talking about, I mean, how many, I don't know, maybe I think you probably are one like me who's gotten together with your friends and just started talking about what you would change about the world and how you would like to form the conversation. Yeah, and like to think that these guys got together and then they actually did that.
Right. Panned it out. They hammered it out at a table.
And the countries, all the countries before then had been a very authoritative type government, pretty much. Even when there was republics before in like Roman times, it was much more authoritative and not putting the power in the hands of the people. And actually, I was reading it on Sunday, or I'll read it here, because we know the end. But I love the beginning of the poem, The New Colossus. Okay. And it's talking about one of the things that I think makes America great. And it's not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air bridge harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands, you storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Nice.
And what I love about it is the brazen giant, the conquering limbs, and that was it. It was by power that we established governments in the past.
Right.
And then this was different. And it still is, and it's still a fight, and it's tough, and we've got a clash of ideas that have to come together.
Well, and I like somebody had said, there's the pessimistic view where, oh, this is all coming to an end. We're going to crash and burn. This is the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
I like the guy who says these are just growing pains. We're still growing.
Yeah.
We're still going to get better. We just have to go through things like life in general.
Yeah.
We have to get cut. We have to get stitches. We have to get in arguments. We have to succeed and fail. And we just continue to grow, and that's how I view our country. It's a continuous growing process.
Well, you and I have the same, albeit naive and overly idealistic, but the same idea of the solution to Americans' problems, which is conversation.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That if we got together, people across the aisle, and had a conversation, a clash of ideas, and we talked, and not necessarily with the goal of agreement.
Right.
Sometimes I think that's the problem, is that we get together and we think we have to be of like mind when we leave.
Right.
But I think if we listen to them and say, yeah, that's great that you feel that way, this is how I feel, and then go, well, that's great that you feel that way, I disagree with you.
Well,
okay,
even in our own personal lives, we can tell you whether there's a marriage argument or a friend argument, or if you're not talking, you're not accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
And talking doesn't necessarily, like you said, mean solution. No. But it's airing it out, getting it out there. And how many times have you disagreed with somebody, or at least I have, and they'll spout out their side of it, and I'll say, "Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I didn't think of it that way."
I love in the Last Samurai, there's this part where the Tom Cruise is trying to keep the conversation going, and the Japanese guy, "You have introduced yourself, I have introduced myself. This is a good conversation," and then leaves. But we've accomplished something.
Right. It can be just that minor. You're right.
And starting the conversation, I think, is huge.
And I'll tell you one thing. No matter what you think you know, my wife and I were in Manhattan all week last week. Walking the streets of Manhattan, I don't know that I could tell you what nationality anybody was. You look at somebody and you think that's Caucasian, and then they speak with an Irish accent, or you look at someone and you think they're Indian and they end up being Pakistani, or I don't know how, and I don't know that it even mattered.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the masses of people, and I'm looking at they're driving cabs, they're cooking, they're waiting on us, they're construction workers, they're subway, all this stuff was going on. Did it matter who was doing it? See, that's what I didn't. I don't get the argument really on people's prejudice because things just worked when we all were working.
Yeah.
The whole city worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you got through it and things happened and accomplishments were made. But when you start picking it apart, what would that do?
That's
know,
right.
It wouldn't do anything.
No, and I believe in a diverse America. I love diversity. I'm glad of diversity. Of course, I also, like I said before, I think it's more difficult a goal, and we need to allow them to have freedom to fail, as you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem with, in my mind, the socialist cures to these ills, because they don't have the freedom to fail. And we need to be able to allow people to have success in whatever they think that looks like. And for some, that's going to be a community that's not necessarily going to be a wealthy community. It might be a poor community, but it's going to be a community of people bonded together.
Today's show is sponsored by Dr. Alex Blaine.
So we'll be right back. We're going to take a break.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know because the clock had run out and I wasn't good. I was just confused of what to do.
When the clock runs out, I say to Rhett, be quiet.
All right, gotcha.
His office is located just south of the Village Market, 47.
It's like the time sped up at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know something? That's the honest to God's truth. When I was going out in the city and you open the doors to the hotel and it just hits you that it's all happening.
Yeah.
Everything. Lights are on, videos are playing on the buildings, subways are running, buses are going, taxi. You know, all this stuff is happening in a sequence.
Yeah.
It's all making the city, any city, or anything.
Yeah.
It all starts working, and then you're like, wow, what if one thing happened? What if there was a power failure? Or what if, that's the mechanics of it, but the operation of it is just the people doing it. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at we're watching skyrises being constructed, and the amount of, you know, the torches are going off, and the scaffolding's going up, and the jackhammers are going, and these guys are, the architects are out there with the paper drawing. All this stuff is happening, and I'm thinking all we're going to do is when it's done, go in and use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But look at all that's happening to
No,
make
it's
it happen
cool.
is all the people.
Yeah.
And then when we get down to the point where we're so caught up in ourselves and so bored that now we start determining whether that person is a good person because he's from that country, you know, then it becomes dirty. It doesn't become, it's not even real. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
It really doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, I wish that we could have what we used to have with, it wasn't like immigration as this, like, and terrorism really has negatively affected it.
Yes.
You know, for sure.
Yes,
because
definitely has.
whenever I bring up open borders, people always bring up terrorism, and I kind of go,
And that
I
is a
get it.
concern.
It's
I
a
agree
concern.
with that.
It's a valid concern. But what we used to have is like all these immigrants coming together, having nothing, and having an opportunity to make something.
But do you think that because it was like that, because of assimilation, people wanted to assimilate to be Americans, where now I think a lot of people come to America and don't want to be
That's what I was gonna
Americans,
say.
they want to be Pakistani in America.
Yeah.
And that's where I think then you start the breakdown of people. But, you know,
and it doesn't mean they have to be
the
like,
Orientals never assimilated.
Well, I was going to say, you know, it doesn't mean, like, I don't know, assimilation could be, like, you've got to speak like us and look like us and talk, you know, and do things like us. And I don't think that should be what assimilation is. To me, assimilation is just, I understand and appreciate what it is to be an American.
And not be anti-American in America.
Exactly.
That's the difference, I think, because the Orientals, they have their own sections of town, they have their own traditions, they have their own foods, they have their own, I mean, they're their own thing.
Yeah.
But they're not bad-mouthing where they're at. They came here for a reason.
No.
This is the last spot. The short rejoin is next.
All right, thanks. Every Asian that I know who is from another country that moved here is like always talking about how much they love America. Yeah. Now they have got their own separate culture in it, but they love being part of America.
So the fact that they're practicing their own culture isn't the bad guy. It's the fact that if you're hearing and you're bad-mouthing it, trying to tear it down.
We're here talking about what makes America great again. with Chuck Cannon. I'm Pastor Richard Demsick, the pastor of 923 Community, a ministry of Christ Church, which we just built our new building on 6th Avenue and 20th Street.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of 4th of July in America and all these great things, it's an awesome opportunity to support the vets. We have on July 15th, if you're a veteran, we would love to have you come and just have a veteran salute put on by the church at 1 p.m. So 1 p.m. July 15th, we're doing that. But anyway, we were talking about immigration and trying to figure out how to do this in a way that keeps America America, but allows it to continue to be the land of opportunity for those who have difficulty in the country that they are. And I do like what Ann Coulter says, which I don't always like what Ann Coulter says.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
But how she says it.
Or
anyway.
how she says it is usually horrible. Sometimes she says brilliant things mixed in with a lot of horrible things. But one of the things she said is you can have open borders or a welfare state. You can't have both.
Okay.
And I kind of would say, okay, open borders.
Right.
That's kind of my response to that. And
because we are more open border than I think most people give us credit for. Most of the countries that complain about us wanting to be more secure bordered have very secure borders. I don't understand the argument from countries that check your passport every time you move, even within their own borders, that have a problem with us wanting to be more stringent on our immigration policy.
Yeah.
But having said that, we are a nation of immigrants.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
And why how do you promote that as a plus is how we're going to solve this. Because if you look at people building the railroad system back in the late 1800s or mid 1800s, it was everybody that was here. It was black, white, Irish, Chinese. We built it.
Of course,
we all built it.
What the liberals are going to come back with you on that is, but there was horrible abuses to the Chinese, to the blacks, and to the Irish in that building of the railroad.
I understand that, but my point is that we should look at that as we all did work together, even though it was under abusive situations, to create something.
Yeah.
Now, if we can do that same creation without the abuses, how much better could we be?
Well, and I believe in equality. I'm all for equality, but I also believe that it's hard to measure it and you can't force it, and it's a very complicated thing, right? So if you're robbing from Peter to pay Paul, if you're taking from one and giving it to another in the name of equality, then you're ruining freedom. Yeah, you can't do that.
And you're creating an atmosphere that's going to cause hatred.
Resentment. And that's the thing is, again, unity in diversity is complicated. It's difficult. And just admitting that, I think, is a huge step.
So my point one time when we were discussing amongst my friends on how we solve the division in this country between race, there's always division. There's always going to be. And I don't know why I keep saying division. I usually say division.
I was saying what?
Because my wife's going to go, where did division come from?
I was saying participation earlier, so you were saying division. We're diverging into participation.
But I go to football games a lot. The guy that's got the green jersey on is my enemy during that game. Yeah. And we're arguing, we're fighting, and there's actual physical fighting that goes on over a group of people down on a field playing a game. Yeah. That there's altercation in the stands over whose team is better. Sure. We have religious division. We have political division at the max right now. But the thing that always seems to bring us together, we're never going to have everybody that's going to be Christian or Islam or Buddhist. Yeah. We're never going to have all Democrats or all Republicans or all socialists. We're never going to have all Miami Dolphin fans and the other teams are no. We're never.
Well, let's not go too far.
Well, you know what I mean. So what does bring us together? What brings us together maybe would be patriotism. Maybe the fact that we're all Americans, that we can now say, I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, but I'm also an American. I'm a Christian, but I'm also an American. I'm a Democrat, but I'm also an American.
I'm an Irishman, but I'm also an American.
Yes. And now, does that mean that I can't go to that I can't be proud to be Chinese?
Yeah.
And eat
you can't. No,
and eat Oriental food and pray to Buddha and do all that should have nothing to do with it. We should say, yeah, you can do all that because it's a free country.
Yeah.
And we respect that and we honor that and we love the fact that you wanted to come here to practice all that. But we're all Americans now, or we're all patriotic to our country and we love our country because you can do that. Yeah. Somehow now we've picked all this apart where we think that there is a group of us that are Americans, and if you're just an American that's a certain color and a certain religious and a certain political party, that's an American. Well, and that's not an American. That's the most un-American.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, the Democrats talk a lot about being open-minded, liberal Democrats anyway, and yet shoving down people's throat how they're supposed to be an American is very close-minded, and the party that actually does that is not the Republican Party, because you're telling people, well, everyone's got to go to college. We got to have college paid for. Everyone's got to go to college. Well, that's shoving down a specific way of doing life and society that is not embraced in every culture.
Right.
Now, the Asian culture is an interesting one because you pointed that out earlier, and the Asian culture is a culture in which they believe in hard work and education. So Asians succeed. And if there actually was racism in America, then, and I'm not saying that there's not, but if we had a racist institution in America, then we would have the Asians be one of the lowest wage earners. But because they love education and because they love hard work, they have actually higher wages than white people. So the Caucasians do not make as much as Asians in America because they've succeeded with that. And that's great. Now, people from different cultures that don't value education as much are not going to earn as much. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. They're going to have to work a little hard, more sweat on their brow. Doesn't mean they'd be any less happy.
Well, and that's why I don't like the conversation that people have, and I've heard this when some of the mines opened up in, I think, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And I remember listening to a talk show where they were saying, how happy can these guys be? They get to crawl into a black hole now and get sick while they're mining. Well, they are miners. That's what they want to do. 1,300 people went back to work because they are miners, and that's what they did. And their mine reopened.
Yeah, and we've got to let people be American in the way in which they want to be American. I'm Pastor Richard Demsick, and this is Chuck Cannon. We'll talk to you soon.
I can't remember who it was. It was a politician. They're saying, how happy can these people be? They're miners. I'm like, well, they're miners.
Yeah. Real bad. So sorry to get in time for the clock.
Oh, it's okay.
But at least I got you in time for
it. You have to, or you did?
I did.
Okay, well,
I
have to.
I sprayed there, so just don't light any matches.
Okay.
Must be that chip beef.
Yeah. It's all Chuck's fault. See, that was really like Rhett.
I still got the cue cards, but I can't start that on time.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
it worked out perfect.
It works out, yeah. Honestly, I probably did better that time than the other ones. Very entertaining. Very entertaining. Quite a delay. All right. We got. I feel like I should say something for my viewer on Facebook, but we're in a brief bathroom break.
Rhett doesn't have any hand sanitizer, does he? Yes.
It's the American life of Chuck.
Oh. How, what do we got left here for segments?
Well, 9:33 to 9:47. And then we got a brief one after that, those spots, to like a short thing, and then we're at the news at 10.
Because I'm going to get out of maybe after the next segment if we can. When would that be, from what to what, the next segment?
Oh, you're not going to stay at the end? You're going to make me do the radio by myself?
Well, when you put it that way.
I can make it up.
I got to be down in Palm Beach at 11. I'm just trying to...
If you need to leave, you know.
I don't have to leave now. I'm just saying that when would be the best time for me to leave?
At 10, Chuck. But if you want to leave...
There are some times where it's like 5 of and he's doing the news or something. Don't you have Marshall Frank or somebody that could call me?
I can make up...
No, I'll stick it out.
Yeah, I can do the... what is the guy who does the radio show all himself?
That's what I meant.
Rush Limbaugh.
Oh,
I do Rush.
Assistant or new hairdresser coming in to be trained in my assistant program. The very first thing you learn are the 4 elements of hair. Protein, your hair is about 98% protein. Hydrogen, fatty acids, and salt. This combined, by God, in a little bowl or whatever, makes a beautiful human hair. It is our duty. It is our mission.
It'll be fine no matter what.
Just read.
Balance in all of those items. However,
Hey,
See my movie review this week?
I did. It's
Nothing.
not a movie
Not
review.
anything.
I thought that was funny.
for instance,
I haven't seen a movie in so long, and I've even reviewed TV shows.
Yeah.
Now, you know? My next one, if I don't get to a movie, is going to be like Price is Right or something. You know?
Oh, that's funny. Well, you could. Obviously, there's
some movies coming out I want to see, so I'll
Yeah.
be all right. Last movie I went to see was, oh no, I'm sorry, I saw Wonder Woman, but I don't know why, I just don't want to write a review on it. I don't know why,
it's hard when you kind of feel neutral. Like,
Yeah.
it was good, but not great.
Last movie, though, besides Wonder Woman, there's always Life. How long ago was that? Like 2 months
Yeah, I
ago?
did
wasn't
not
it?
like that movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought I liked it until you reeled me in, and then I didn't like it. Because that's exactly what we're talking about. Once we talked it out,
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, you know, something Rich was right. I didn't really know that I liked it that much. You know, I liked the first maybe 15, 20 minutes of it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it became Alien.
Yeah.
You know, the Alien movie.
Yeah. Well, and even worse because it's such. I think the realism of the beginning is part of what really hurt it for me in the end. Because it was just unrealistic for
Right.
these experts to all of a sudden act like stupid teenagers in a horror movie.
Right.
And that's what they acted like
Yeah.
for the rest of the movie. They would forget that they had technology that tracked the alien and where it was, and all of a sudden they weren't tracking him anymore.
Right.
You know?
And thank you for listening to Ask the Hair Guy.
All right. I think we're...
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Hair Guy Minute. Please send us your questions to askthehairguy.com.
Ooh.
Wow, that was loud. So the 4th of July is a great time to watch some patriotic movies and start this war on, which is why I think it's weird. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you very much.
I've got 10 sound effects I've got to play before 10.
There you go. I think it's weird that Dunkirk is coming out, or Dunkirk, how do you say that?
I pronounce it Dunkirk, but it could be Dunkirk.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's coming out this month, but the 21st, like, could they not hit the 4th of July? Like,
yeah.
I would think this would be a huge weekend.
Sure would.
For them to have that movie come out.
I'm looking forward to seeing it anyway, but if it came out this weekend, you're right, it would be an event.
I think everyone would go to see it.
Sure.
Whereas I don't know how well it will do.
So if they complain about their box office receipts, they can only blame
themselves.
Whoever it is that releases it.
Push it up a month.
Right.
I'm excited about it, even though I'm not a big war movie fan in general.
I don't know if I am or not. I do see a lot of war movies, so I must be a fan to some degree.
There are some that I like. A lot of the older movies, it's just too much violence-centric nowadays to me, and I don't mind...
like Saving Private Ryan, I thought was a very entertaining movie.
Yeah.
And it hit home. It made you feel...
Sure.
And what was the one with Bradley Cooper where he was the assassin or the
I
sniper?
haven't seen it.
Was it
I haven't seen it. Everyone tells
Another
me it's
movie
so
I
great,
loved, yeah. And when it was about a real person.
Yeah.
So you felt a connection to it. I guess I do watch a lot of movies. I watched Tank with, or not Tank, but the one with Brad Pitt. Where,
is it the Netflix one with the War Machine or something?
Boy, I went completely... Oh, Fury.
Oh, Fury, yeah, that's right.
And,
I didn't watch that one.
And I enjoyed that. That was another good movie. Inglourious Bastards, I enjoyed.
So you do like war movies. We have
one
settled.
after the other.
All of the war movies, you're a fan
So
of.
I answered my question there.
Yeah.
Yes, I do enjoy. I can't wait now.
Well, for me, it's Christopher Nolan, the director.
Yes.
Because he's done so many good things. He did Inception, he did the Batman films, the Dark Knight trilogy.
Which I loved.
Yeah, he did Insomnia, which not a lot of people saw, but that had Al Pacino in it and Robin Williams, and that was a really interesting movie. He also did Memento. Did you see Memento?
About that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see Memento, but I don't remember that much about it. I remember watching it.
Oh, it's good.
Because so many people recommended it. Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
Insomnia, yeah, that was where he couldn't... Well, of course, he couldn't
sleep.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and he was a detective, and it balanced a lot of things well.
Wasn't he doing an investigation somewhere where there was no...
Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was like...
The country of Alaska.
It was the time where there was no darkness.
Right.
Because some of the year it's dark all the time there, and some of the...
Not to go too far off the topic, but 30 Days of Night, have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
See, it's a horror movie.
Okay.
Vampire.
Okay.
But it's the same subject. There's 30 days in Alaska where there's no sunlight. And the vampires realize that, and then they have just kind of an open...
That's a great idea for a film.
And it's a good film. It's a good horror film.
Never thought about that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so we'll see if Dunkirk is a good movie. But I've noticed,
Nolan,
yeah, he's a great director. But I've noticed that you've gotten a little desperate here, Chuck, because Chuck does the movie reviews for Vero's Voice magazine, which you can pick up anywhere. Anyway. At this one, it's Chuck's Ramblings, which I always thought you rambled a little bit in your reviews, but now you've embraced it.
Now I've written, yeah.
Not a movie. Why is it rated PG-13? That's my real question.
I thought it might be a little bit harsh for kids to read.
Okay. So the review is rated PG-13. Because not a movie,
well, because
in case you haven't guessed it, it's not a movie.
Whenever I tried to title it, I thought, well, I wonder if people are going to think this is a movie review of a movie they've never heard of. So
I thought it was too at first.
Yeah.
But then it confused me that there was
a PG
Chuck
rating.
Ramblings and then
was it PG or PG-13?
PG-13.
Okay, yeah, it's a little harsher than I normally would have done.
Apparently, anyone 12 should not read this review.
And it's about really nothing.
Well, the show about nothing was one of the most popular shows on television, so maybe the review about nothing would be your most popular review.
The review turned into a review about the laziness of people making movies that just have Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6, the prequel, and then they go into a trilogy of prequels, and then they have the sequels, and then they'll have and one of the ones that I thought was kind of funny was when they did the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He titled them as Volume 4 of the Trilogy of 5, or Volume 5 of the Trilogy of 5.
Yeah.
And he was making fun of the same thing that I was noticing in movies was, why can't we just even, have we gotten so lazy that we can't not only make a movie that's original, but we can't even title them now. Now it's just volume whatever, or series whatever, or the trilogy. Star Wars has done that, where they had Star Wars and they had the trilogy prequels, and now they're having the trilogy sequels, I think now.
Spin-offs. And they're having...
well, of course, the spin-offs, yeah.
Han Solo, and they had Rogue One. Of course, Rogue One was pretty good.
Most
people really liked Rogue One. I liked Rogue One. I wasn't over the moon about it.
I enjoy them.
Here's the problem, though. And I used to be a guy who was always looking for new, unique movies that were doing things differently. But nowadays, and I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older, maybe I'm just having less time on my hands. So I want to go, when I go to the movie theater, I want something that's at least decent. And I went to some weird movies recently.
At least decent.
At least decent. And they were just not good.
You're
and
right.
It made me, although I will say this, I also did something this week that is a unique thing, I think.
Okay.
I hate watched a movie. Have you ever watched a movie?
I have, and yes.
Where you knew it was going to be bad, you knew you were going to hate it, but you watched it anyway to kind of make fun of it and just tear it apart.
I've done that with movie reviews because it's funner to write a terrible movie review.
Yeah.
Or at least to me it is. It's more entertaining to write it and to read it. If it's a movie I like, I'm really just doing a report, a book report.
So your review definitely could have been a review for the movie that I watched, because I watched Transformers, whatever number they happen to be on
there
now.
We go, yeah.
Who cares? They just keep making them, and somehow they got Anthony Hopkins to be in it. I've never had less pleasure from Anthony
Mark
Hopkins
Wahlberg in it
on
also?
screen. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg.
So it's got a good cast.
Yeah, it's horrible. It is so bad. Like, literally, my friend who had the idea of hate watching this movie at a certain point turned to me and said, "I'm sorry."
Really? You had an apology from that?
Too bad.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like, because it was so bad, it wasn't even that. I mean, we had a little bit of fun. We were making fun of it at first. But at a certain point, it was like hard to make fun of it because it was like the movie was making fun of itself. It was that bad.
Yeah.
It's like, is it in the land of comedy now?
Yeah.
But Michael Bay, who's the director that explodes everything, directed it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's a good director also, or he's
capable
of being a good director.
He used to be.
Yeah.
There was some original films I liked.
What are the movies called when they're campy, I guess, is the type of movie
Yeah.
where it's so bad that
It's intentionally.
and then it creates a group of people and it becomes a classic. There are campy movies that I'll watch and I'm like, it's so bad. The Warriors.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about that recently.
It's a great bad movie.
So we're doing, we did 80s prom night at the Walking Tree Brewery last year for the Veterans Council. And my brother works for the Veterans Council, and we were talking about having either 80s prom night or 70s prom night and having like a kind of debate on what we're going to do.
Okay.
And the reason I mentioned is because we were talking about the Warriors and saying it'd be fun to do like a Warriors video with 70s versus 80s people to like decide what prom night it's going to be.
Attack on Precinct 13, the original one.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've watched both. Yeah.
And they're both campy.
They're both campy.
But they're so bad that when they come on, I'm excited to watch it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And that's a good bad movie, but just a bad movie for the sake of being bad because they can't decide what it's going to be about, or it'll just be a 20-minute script that we put into a 2-hour movie, you know, and they put CGI in it and explosions and stare downs, and the next thing you know, you have a 2-hour movie, and it only took us 20 minutes worth of material to write. And
of course, I think it's going to be an increasing problem, partly because America is becoming less important in sales of movie tickets, and what they like in specifically China is big explosions. Like Transformers did great there. It didn't do great here. Yeah.
Well, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Got to tell you.
We'll talk more after the break. I'm Pastor Richard Emsick, and I'm here with Chuck Cannon. So, like, the same was true of the Warcraft movie. That was like, it bombed here, did great overseas.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I heard, that the reason they keep making the Transformer movies is that even though they don't do well here, they're not getting good ratings or anything like that, they're doing well overseas.
Yeah, I wondered about that because I didn't even know that the first Transformer movie I knew did well. But what are we at now? Number 5 now or something like that? And the Fast and Furious are like that. They started out as a bunch of kids racing cars, and now they're terrorist experts over here.
Yeah, but the difference is Fast and the Furious people still really like.
Oh, yeah.
They're even
And I don't have a problem
high.
if it goes on.
Yeah.
But I do have a problem when there's, I'll think of a movie soon where we're on number 3 and the first 2 weren't even good. You know, the first one wouldn't have even...
Well, that's what I felt about Transformers. The first Transformers I really did not like. And then I was surprised they made a sequel, and I can't believe they're making 5, and I don't even remember the other ones going out, you know? Which is the same with Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I loved the first. That was the difference. I loved the first. But the second one was not a movie. It was just Johnny Depp running around goofy for an hour and a half. So I didn't really have any desire to see any of the other Pirates movies after that second one. I went to the theater for the second one. I was so disappointed that I just was like, I'm not going to pay any more money. Also, you mentioned Lord of the Rings in your review. When it comes to The Hobbit, I really do want to see it. I went to the theater for the first one. I haven't watched the second or the third. But I don't want to pay any more money for it. Because it's like, that was worth one movie.
Right.
It's a small book.
Right.
And they made it into 3 long movies. They've already gotten my money. I'm not going to give them more of it. If I have an opportunity to watch
I'm
it
not
for free,
a Lord of the Ring or a Hobbit, so when I did a little research on it, I was getting myself confused. Because it was a trilogy divided into 6 books, 2 per volume. This is what they were telling me. That's what I wrote down, and then I got lost. I'm like, what does that even? I don't really get what that means, but I guess if you.
Okay, so there's actually 4 books.
Okay.
There's The Hobbit and the 3.
I thought The Hobbit was the. Oh yeah, The Hobbit was the original story.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and they made Lord of the Rings trilogy into 3 movies, which made sense. And then they made The Hobbit, the smallest book, into 3 movies, which is ridiculous.
Well, my wife was a Twilight fan.
Yeah.
The first one.
And they made that into 4.
And then it was a trilogy, and then the last book they made into 2 movies, and I'm like, when we got to the last movie, it drug, and she's like, well, that's because they made 2 movies out of the one book.
Yeah.
And by the time it was over, I'm like, wow, if they had combined the last 2, that would have been the best movie.
Yeah.
But it was a way of getting another $80 million.
Exactly.
You know, so
It's
I get
funny,
the business of it.
That has backfired sometimes. Because nowadays, there are some movies that have done so bad that they never got to finish the trilogy because they tried to stretch it out to too many movies.
Right.
Specifically, that happened to Divergent.
Yeah.
This is Tim Womack,
There's still Divergent's over, isn't it?
Well, they never made the last movie.
Oh, okay.
So it was a trilogy in
Right.
the book. I've actually read the trilogy. And they made it into 3 movies, but the 4th one, which is the finale,
Right.
the
Oh,
third
and they're not
one
gonna
did
do that?
so bad, they're
Yeah,
just
the
not
third
going
one
to
was
do it.
bad.
Yeah,
It
well, I
was
didn't
terrible.
see it, but, you know,
Terrible.
I heard it was really
Yeah.
poorly reviewed.
And you can tell that it was dragging.
Yeah.
You know, there's scenes that would be 15, 20 seconds long, and
The
you're like,
last
"Is that
spot,
it?"
your short rejoin is next.
Why? I love endorsing them because you'll get the right care right now. Recently had a family in town, a young grandson. Turned out he had stroke. We found out right away because he was sent to Indian River Walking Clinic at Miracle Mile. And everything was correct and came out well. Fine. Not good to say. Indian River Walking Clinic. The right care right now.
You are listening to the mayor of the airwaves.
It's always hard when you know the movie industry is trying to make money, but they don't have to make it so obvious that's all they care about.
Right.
I think that's really my pet peeve. Whether it's they're making 5 movies out of a 3 book set,
Right.
or they're just spinning off the same idea over and over again. If they really did it well and they really cared about it, that'd be one thing, or brought something new to the table. But it's just frustrating when it's just all about the money.
Right.
Where's the art?
Well, you brought up the series Divergent.
Yes. It's hilarious.
Which was a great first movie.
It's a good book series.
An okay second movie. The third movie wasn't good, and now you said they're probably not going to make the fourth, which would have been the ending of the actual trilogy.
You get no payoff,
which
no
became
end.
what do you call it, a quadrilogy?
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at my wording here because I looked all these up. We went from sequel to prequel to equal to interquel to midquel to circumquel, sidequel, paraquel, spin-off, adaptation, reload, remake, reboot. It goes on and on.
It's crazy.
And they're making Baywatch Reboot 2.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What are you doing? I don't even get it. The TV series had its time. Maybe there's a novelty movie, and then that's it. Let it go away.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody was excited. Or Charlie's Angels. Remember that came out? I think there were 3 of them. I mean, it died. It went away. Why do we? The Brady Bunch movies came out. What was the Chips? Came out. And it was a bad movie. And then I'll read they're making Chips 2. Chips Invade Chicago or something. Who cares? What is that? There's a guy making big money.
Yeah.
And spending a lot of big money to make Chips 2? I mean, come on.
And here's what I think. Just endorse it, right? Just embrace it. You have no creativity left. Okay, fine. Take movies like RoboCop, right? They made a remake of RoboCop that added nothing new and was inferior to the original in every way.
Yes.
So instead, just make an HD version of RoboCop, okay? So not a new movie.
Right.
Just take the old movie, update it to Blu-ray. They did that anyway.
Right.
Release it in the theater. Never even mention that this was a movie that was once released in the 80s.
Right.
Just say this is RoboCop and just, have a new trailer for it.
Or Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
They could release that as Groundhog Day 2 and just release the original movie. And
the same
it's
scenes
the same
over.
thing.
Anyway, that's what happened.
See, that would be so novel that I would probably go spend the money to go watch it again in the theater as Groundhog Day 2.
Yeah.
And just be one of the victims.
Would you see RoboCop if it was re-released in the theater as like...
Probably. I don't know. I mean, I like it, but it's one of those. It's another campy movie. It's another one of those movies that there's nothing theatrically great about it.
There was a little bit of creativity that they had in some of the commercial things that they did, and explaining that dystopia world. Which honestly, what we've gone to now is that there is finally good writing. It's just not in movies; it's in television shows. And I've heard you really like another dystopia, which is the Handmaid's
Tale. We watch, and that is it's a dystopia that's not too far in the future, well written, well acted. And I don't have to go to the movies to watch it.
And that's where the future really lies. I mean, Twin Peaks is coming back with the... I haven't watched the new one, but I loved the old one. Man, that show sucked me in.
Yes.
It's a weird show.
And I can never understand it.
Yeah.
But I talked about it. It was a water cooler series where you'd stand around and talk about what happened last night, but you couldn't really tell anybody what it was about because I don't know that anybody really understood what it was about.
It's hard to explain to people why Twin Peaks is wonderful. I finally got my wife into it, and it was hard. It took us like 4 times.
It's very weird.
It's very weird, and it's kind of like a soap opera, but it's also kind of like a satire of a soap opera.
Yeah.
So it's hard to explain to people.
It's funny in it because of itself.
Yeah.
It doesn't try to be funny, but
That's right.
My wife and I get sucked into CSI Miami. I love that show. And I said it's kind of like Miami Vice was, where it was real flashy, real colorful, oversaturated colors.
Yeah.
Kind of campy acting and music. And when it's all over, you go, that was great. What was it about again? I don't know, but I just enjoyed watching it for an hour. It was just a bunch of
Twin
stuff.
Peaks is kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching it now for the 3rd time, actually. Oh. Yeah, and because I'm watching it with my wife.
Okay.
And I still will be watching and be like, oh, I didn't realize that happened.
Does it pick up where Twin Peaks 1 let off, or is it just starting all over?
Oh, I haven't seen the new thing. No, but I do know the new one. Yeah, so the problem is I don't have Showtime or Stars.
The old one was basically a detective show. I mean, he was investigating a murder.
I think it's keeping that.
Then the characters he had to interview to put this murder to through the investigation, that's what the show was about.
Yeah.
The log lady and the
Well, and the girl with the one
dreams,
eye,
yeah,
with the eye patch, she like contributed almost nothing to the plot.
Right.
But she was just so weird and
entertaining,
interesting to watch.
Right.
And it was a fun show. And
Yes.
they're doing creative things with television more and more. Of course, we both like House of Cards, which is another example of like really interesting and entertaining things that they're doing with television now.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think the way they're doing it is great with the one season at a time.
And then we go to my movie review where I have not seen a movie in 2 months.
Yeah.
And promise Rhett and Barb that I'm going to write a review, and then I sit there on the night before and say, I can either wing it or go back to an old movie that nobody cares about, or I thought this was somewhat interesting because we had talked about it, amongst some friends of mine, of how lazy even just the titling of movies have become.
Yeah.
Let's make a third Captain America. What do we call it? How about Captain America 3? Okay, there we go. Here's $100,000 for thinking of that idea.
Yeah.
And
millions of dollars in box office ticket sales.
Yeah.
And it does.
And then I go watch it and I complain about it.
Yeah.
So it's a vicious circle.
I mean, I do like the superhero films, even though they're popcorn, because at least they're consistent. And Marvel has gotten the formula, or Disney has gotten the formula down.
Yes.
So when you go there, you know what you're going to get,
and
it's going to be fun, and it's going to have a positive message at the end. And that's something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Pastor Richard Dempsey, the pastor of 923 Community in Vero Beach, Florida. We would love to have you at our service at 11 o'clock on Sunday. And we are in the new building, 6th Avenue and 20th Street. We are a church that is a church for the misfits, and we'd love to have you there anytime. It's a ministry of Christ Church, so if you like more traditional stuff, we've got a modern kickin' fun time. But if you like more traditional stuff, we have a classic service at 9 o'clock. And we have an encounter service at 11 that is a liturgical service with a little praise band. And so it's kind of a blend between the modern way of doing things and the classic way of doing things. But most importantly, it's about loving each other. And if you need a connection, we'd love to have you there. We're talking today with Chuck Cannon of CJ Cannons, where the only thing they overlook is the runway. And we're on the Mayor of the Airways radio show, and he will be here soon to lighten up your life. Who loves you, baby? The Mayor of the Airways is ready to go. Talking to people you want to know. So, Mr. B, do I press anything on the Facebook thing here?
I'll come out. Just press the button that you turned it on, press it again.